But I'm really proud of the way the Mavs responded to that adversity and to come back, not only just come back to be in the game, they took a 14-point lead there for a minute.
Yeah.
And they were on fire. They were showing a lot of toughness. I thought they played really well.
They showed they were cool. They were
and
collected.
All that came to a crashing end.
Yeah, I was about to say all good points.
When the refs decided to eject Porzingis on a really questionable ejection. Like, it was just a questionable ejection. The first technical foul, okay, call it. It's a technical foul.
He did the fist punch, which is automatic technical.
Yes, even though, whatever, players can complain for 45 minutes. It's not a tech. But as soon as you throw your fist, it's automatic tech. Yeah. That's like in the rule book or something.
Yeah.
But the second technical foul, really the refs, first of all, I didn't even think there was enough with that whole play that it even merited a review.
Yeah.
I felt like they easily could have just separated them and just move on, but they had to review it, which I thought that was questionable. And then it was really questionable to eject a player on that. Like,
knowing it's an ejection.
Yeah, and it wasn't even that big of a deal. You could have easily just moved on, reviewed it, double fouls, whatever, or nothing, and just move on. And you ejected him. And immediately when that happened,
the game died.
It did. And even sorry, I'll give you an opportunity to talk on your pod. But even Mark Jackson.
This is our pod.
All right, let's focus. Okay. Even Mark Jackson and Jeff Van Gundy, you can sense the air was just taken out of them because they were like, come on, you can't eject a guy on that.
Well, it was one of them that said, we had a good game.
Yeah, the game was ruined.
We had a good game going, and you just ruined it. And, man, when they made that call, my heart sank because it was just like, oh my God, that's just the worst. It's over. It's just all over. And I mean, yeah, the Mavs still play and there's still 24 minutes left or whatever, but you can't this is the playoffs. Like the ref just called the game. At that moment, they called the game. And you know, that's a playoff game. And then that's you affect the whole series. Just with that one call. And
it was just such a bad call. It was such a bad call.
Yeah.
And it's something that easily could have just not called and you ruined the whole game. And then you saw it towards, you know, the whole atmosphere of the game. But really, you saw it in the fourth quarter when the Clippers had Paul George and Kawhi.
Yeah.
And the Mavs had Luka. And as awesome, and we'll talk about Luka, as awesome as he was, they really needed Porzingis.
Yeah.
And you know, the guy has been averaging 30 points a game. He had 14 at halftime, so he was on his way for that. And you just ended the game, essentially, with that one whistle or one tech.
It's like you said, the air of it. And it wasn't just the Mavs. Like, obviously, it affected the Mavs. And they lost their confidence, I think, for a while because they bricked some shots and missed them wide in the few minutes following that. But it was just even the commentators, like even Mark and Jeff were quiet. Nobody was saying anything for a while.
Well, and even when it came back, there was one where it came back from commercial just for hey, we're still here, but here's another commercial break.
Yeah.
Mark Jackson was, you know, they were trying to be enthusiastic.
Game,
we have a really good game
we got a game here.
But you can sense in him he was irritated.
Yeah. Well, because it's like I wanted to watch the Mavericks and the Clippers, and I wanted to see if the Mavericks could beat the Clippers. Like, we wanted this series, and it was a good game, and it was great basketball, and the Mavs had the lead, and it was fun, and all of this stuff, and you gotta freaking ruin the whole game. And, like, okay, here's the other thing I want to say, like, you know, whenever it happened, I was like, crap, he's going to get a tech for that. And I was like, I wish he hadn't done that. And I understand, like, it was a bad call. But also, I wish Kristaps hadn't even gone in there to give them an opportunity to call that.
The thing is, like, yes, okay, that is true. But I thought he didn't do too much to merit another technical. I think he knew where to draw the line. Mm-hmm. He didn't go in there swinging or whatever.
Yeah.
And I just felt like that you just could have just ignored. I didn't think it should have been a tech on anybody. Really. It was such a pointless review.
Yeah.
They easily could have just moved on. And you just, it's so frustrating because there's nothing we can do about it.
Yeah, that was the worst thing in the moment. It's like, no, it's just God. It's just all God. And it's like they were saying when they were talking to Steve Javy or whatever the heck, and one of them said, like, it's not called consistently. There are some players who do crap like that in every game, like
Patrick Beverley
Green,
and Draymond
Patrick
Green.
Beverley. I feel like there's guys that get in players' faces or do stuff like that all the time, and they don't get a tech. I mean, it's like, it's the whole thing with, if a player is a good defender, he can get away with fouling because, that's just good defense. Or that also applies to a team if they're known as a good defensive team. Or players, if they're known to be tough and gritty, like, they can get away with crap. It's not called consistent. And it's just, you called the game. Like, you called it right then. And this is the play. It's not like it was different in the regular season when they didn't call the foul on with Steph on the Lakers. Like, all these other terrible calls, regular season, whatever. This is the playoffs, and you called a game
in the third quarter.
Yeah, and that's a game in a series, so you affected the whole series. And, like, look, the Mavs probably we're not gonna win the series. They might not have won the game, even though they had the lead.
But you gotta allow have to give
if things continued on, they would have won.
Well, you got to give them a chance to win.
Yeah, let them choose if they're going to win or not.
Don't let you decide the game. And that's my point with the refs. Like, you could just walk away from that. Like, it was such a small thing. You don't want to dictate the game. And for such a small situation, you could have just walked away or not called anything. But you decided that was just egregious, and Porzingis has this reputation for being a dirty player, I guess, and we're gonna set the message straight and end it. You know, it was terrible, and the game was affected immediately after that.
Yeah.